Very good evening. Jai Shri Krishna Guru. Thank you for joining the Bhagavad Gita Satsang, the way of life as described by Lord Shri Krishna to Arjuna. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha, Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha, Om Shri Saraswataya Namaha, Om Shri Guru Dattatreya Namaha, Om Shri Mahalakshmiye Namaha. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. We'll be continuing from chapter 6, the Yoga of Self-Control, and we will be learning about the fate of one who falls from yoga, the glory of Dhyan Yoga as described by Lord Shri Krishna to Arjuna. In the last satsang, we completed verse 41. So let us begin chapter 6, verse 42. So this is in continuation to the previous verse. So let me just give a quick recap. The last verse, Lord Shri Krishna is telling Arjuna, there is no fall for him either here or hereafter, for, O my beloved, none who strives for self-redemption, that is God realization, ever meets with evil destiny. Because Arjuna had some doubts. He had asked questions to Lord Shri Krishna about what happens if somebody goes off the path of God realization or the yoga and who's unable to, subdue their desires, mind, what will happen to such a being. And who is not able to exercise this dispassion. So Arjuna is very confused. So he wants to know what will happen if he were to sway from the path. Such a person who has strayed from yoga obtains the higher worlds, heaven, etc., to which men of meritorious deeds alone are entitled, and having resided there for innumerable years, takes birth of pious and prosperous parents. I have explained this in depth. So I hope you have listened to my last satsang. So if you have listened, then we will continue from here, that is verse 42 onwards, what Lord Shri Krishna is going to tell Arjuna, what happens to such a being. Or if he is possessed of dispassion, then not attaining to those regions, he is born in the family of enlightened yogis. But such a birth in this world is very difficult to obtain. See, Lord Shri Krishna has made a very clear, he's made it very clear to Arjuna that men of meritorious deeds alone are entitled. See, there is a criteria as to who is entitled in going to this heaven or being born in a pious or prosperous parents. In continuation, he said, or if he is, who is this person? The one who is the person who has, earned some merit in their life. This person is possessed of dispassion. So if he has dispassion, then not attaining to those regions means what? He is not attaining any heaven or hell. He is born in the family of enlightened yogis. He is born in the family of enlightened yogis, but such a birth in this world is very difficult to obtain. Why is he saying so? See, that's a very beautiful and a profound truth. What Lord Shri Krishna is saying, see, if you were to have this dispassion where you're having aversion to the material world, you're having aversion to what is happening around you, you're not running after fulfilling your material worldly desires. So when you're going through such a dispassion, then what happens? Or if he's possessed of dispassion, if you are the individual who's possessed of dispassion, then not attaining to those regions. Regions is what? Heavenly regions. So you're not going after wanting to enjoy your merit in the heavens. So not attaining to those regions, he is born in the family of enlightened yogis. He is born in the family of enlightened yogis. What does that mean? So you have an opportunity to attain realization, that is God realization in the future birth, which is so beautiful, because to being born in the family of enlightened yogis, those who have already been enlightened, which means you have a clean ticket to that path. You don't have to do anything because you have already born to your parents who are enlightened yogis. Yogis means who have already attained union with the divine Lord. An example could be Lord Dattatreya being born to Atriya Muni and Anusuya. Likewise, if you say, Sai Baba or Ram Krishna Paramahamsa ji, they were all born to, I wouldn't say Ram Krishna Paramahamsa ji, I'm sorry, or Sai Baba, but like Lord Dattatreya or other, like example, Lord Shri Krishna himself or Shri Ram, they have all born to pious beings. But they themselves were the enlightened being. But here he's talking about the family of enlightened yogis. The family of enlightened yogis. These are the great divine beings. So to in whose womb they will be born, in a family where you have a easy path to God realization. So, but such a birth in this world is very difficult to obtain. But what is he saying? Such a birth in this world is very difficult to obtain is simply because today we don't have the, such enlightened yogis. Hardly anybody that exists. Very few of them are left. You can just count, on your fingertips. Only a handful of them exist somewhere. So how can then you achieve that? It is next to impossible. That is what Lord Shri Krishna is teaching. Arjuna, he automatically regains in that birth the latencies of even-mindedness of his previous births. So whatever he has missed out in that previous birth, in the current birth, he is able to achieve that. So he's saying, Arjuna, he automatically regains in that birth the latencies of even-mindedness of his previous birth. And through that, he strives harder than ever for perfection in the form of God's realization. Like I said, it's a clean ticket. So since you're born in the family of enlightened yogis, then whatever that you missed in your earlier birth, you're able to very easily achieve it and attain it. And then what does he do? After attaining that, then he strives to achieve the perfection in the form of God's realization. This is what happens. Arjuna, he automatically regains in that birth the latencies of even-mindedness. So what is he missed out in the earlier birth was the even-mindedness. Equanimity of mind was something that he was unable to achieve. And in this birth, he is able to bridge that gap. Whatever he missed out achieving in his earlier birth, in this birth, he is able to, he is able to achieve the latencies of even-mindedness of his previous birth. So in the earlier birth, if you were unable to say control your mind or have that equanimity of mind, which is something is difficult, it is not easy. That, requirement or that thing which you were not able to achieve, he is able to regain in his next birth because he's been born in the family of enlightened yogis. So he is able to overcome the latencies of even-mindedness of his previous birth in that birth very easily. And then what does he do? And through that, because he is able to achieve the even-mindedness, then he strives harder than ever. He strives harder. See, Lord Shri Krishna is not saying it is going to come easy. What does he say? Strives harder than ever. Even more than whatever the effort he might have put in his earlier birth, he has to put double the time or more than that. Strives harder than ever for perfection in the form of God realization. So you have to strive harder. See, we all want it easy. Let me tell you, controlling the mind or just having that equanimity of the mind is most difficult to achieve. Why? Because we don't have that will. We don't have that, that conviction that we will be able to do. Our mind is turbulent, weak. Exactly what Arjuna was asking Lord Shri Krishna, right? Krishna, my mind is very unsteady, turbulent, tenacious and powerful. Therefore, I consider it as difficult to control as the wind. So he's giving a comparison. Like the mind is like the wind and it is very difficult to control. How am I supposed to overcome this? What happens then if I go off the path of yoga and if I am not going to exercise, practicing, dispassion? Why? What will happen? Because only through dispassion then can you achieve that meditation, right? That union with the Divine Lord. But none of this I'm able to achieve. So what am I going to do? What happens to an individual who goes off that path? Does he have to meet with some evil fate or what happens? So Lord Shri Krishna is saying, what happens to such an individual here? That he's clearing the doubts of Arjuna. We are all afraid, right? Oh God, if we meet some divine being and God were to tell you, look, you have to do this, you have to, walk this path, this is the method. But if he's unable to do any of those things, then what happens? Then he's in a tough situation. But he is afraid, that he doesn't want to meet with any evil fate. Nobody wants to. We all want our redemption. But we are unable to do what Lord Shri Krishna is asking us to do. Why? Because we feel our mind is overpowering that divinity within us, that knowledge. It's covering. It's, the ignorance is covering, and our mind is unable to, we are unable to curb our mind. We are unable to control our mind. Why? Because the mind talks too much. It is turbulent. It is constantly trying to irritate you, telling you things which is not relevant at all. So in such conditions, what happens? So you're going to go off the path of that yoga. Then what happens? Then are you going to meet with some, evil fate? That is what he is asking. So Lord Shri Krishna has been very beautifully explaining what happens to such an individual. But that individual should have some merit that he has done, meritorious deeds. And if otherwise the individual, if he has been a dispassionate person, then what can be done? What does he get entitled to? But one very important lesson which Lord Shri Krishna just imparted was that, please remember, to being born in the enlightened yogi, family of an enlightened yogis, is next to impossible, because that is something very difficult to obtain. Why? Because today hardly anybody are left on this planet Earth who are enlightened yogis. So, in continuation, he says, he automatically, once he's born in such a family, then he automatically regains in that birth the latencies of even-mindedness of his previous birth, and through that he strives harder. See, the whole thing is, we are coming back to this square one. It's about striving harder. So what does Lord Shri Krishna say? He has told in chapter 2 itself, strive to practice the yoga of equanimity. You have to put arduous effort. You be self-controlled. You have to put self-effort. So these are the words which you need to, underline. And he's saying, through gradual practice alone can you control your mind. So all these things we have to keep in our mind and consciously, put effort to practice. We have to strive to practice. It's not going to happen overnight. It takes many years. Let me tell you, it's not so easy. Spirituality is not an easy subject, and it is not easy to walk that path. You have to have a lot of strength, grit, determination, and your ultimate goal should be that I have to achieve God realization. When that is your ultimate goal, then nothing can deter you. So please strives, and through that he strives harder than ever for perfection in the form of God realization. The other one, who takes birth in a rich family, though under the sway of his senses, feels drawn towards God by force of habit acquired in his previous birth. Nay, even the seeker of yoga, in the form of even-mindedness, transcends the fruit of actions performed with some interested motive as laid down in Vedas. So what happens? He says pious and prosperous family, right? So next he's talking about the prosperous family. One who is born in a prosperous family, what does he do? The other one, who takes birth in a rich family, though under the sway of his senses, feels drawn towards God by force of habit acquired in his previous birth. See, when you're born in a rich family, naturally you're going to be under the sway of your senses. You're going to definitely enjoy all the things that is made available to you. God has given you that, God has given you that facilitation. So you are going to enjoy whatever that has been there for you. Good education, like good life, good food to eat, good clothes to wear, everything. So everything is connected to the senses. Though under the sway of his senses, feels drawn towards God by force. So it is not coming to him naturally, but he feels drawn towards God by force of the habit acquired in his previous birth. By the force of habit acquired in the previous birth. Because in the previous birth, he had the habit, the habit is he was devoted to the divine Lord. So that is what he has acquired. So he's going to be drawn towards the God. Okay, so it is an easy thing, but Yet, what is he saying? Nay, even the seeker of yoga in the form of even-mindedness transcends the fruit of actions performed with some interested motive as laid down in the Vedas. So two things happens. When you're born in an affluent family, you're definitely, under the sway of your senses. That is something you can't ignore because you're given all the riches in your world. Everything is given to you on a platter. It comes to you because you have earned it. Okay, sometimes we think, this person is not deserving. Why does he have so much wealth? See, please remember, wealth is to establish dharma. Now, we are not talking about wealthy people who don't believe in God. We are talking about affluent family who are, pious people, and they have been believers in God, and they have following that path due to their previous karmas. Since the past birth, they are the devotees of the Lord. That is what he's talking about. Now, though under the sway of his senses, feels drawn towards God by force of habit acquired in the previous birth. So they have been, following that path from many lifetimes onwards, many previous births of theirs. So they are, pious people, and with affluence, that is, they have their prosperous family. So, nay, even the seeker of yoga. So, one who's the seeker of yoga in the form of even-mindedness transcends the fruit of actions performed with some interested motive as laid down in the Vedas. So, what is the interested motive here? He says, so even the seeker of yoga in the form of yoga is in the form of even-mindedness. Yoga is union with the Divine Lord. Transcends the fruits of actions performed. What does he do? Transcends the fruits of actions performed means what? I don't get attached to that fruit of the action. I will just say Krishna Arpan. I know that I am not the one who has earned it. It is the Lord who has bestowed upon me. That is what he understands. Never take the, never get attached to the fruits of the actions. So he transcends means what? If you succeed, you will say, Krishna, Lord Shri Krishna, thank you so much. It is your grace that I have succeeded. I samarpan this success to you. So he's not taking any credit for that success. Or if he fails, he'll say, Lord, thank you. Maybe I have to learn some very important lessons and I have accepted this failure of mine, but I samarpan that as well to you. So guide me in gaining that real knowledge so that I will be able to, go ahead in my life. So I samarpan that as well to you. So he's not attached to the fruits of the actions. He has transcended that. Performed, he transcends the fruit of actions performed with some interested motive. What is the interested motive? That I want to achieve God realization. Because as laid down in Vedas, what is Vedas and Shastras teach us? That whatever the fruits are the fruits which is bestowed upon us by the Divine Lord alone. So his motivation, there is some interested motivation. What is his motivation? The motivation can be very simply this, that I want to attain God realization. I offer everything back to the Divine Lord alone. Nothing is mine. So he stays away from taking the sense of by feeling that I did it. So sense of doership is what he transcends, and also the fruits of the action. So at both of them he surrenders unto the lotus feet of the Divine Lord with the interested motivation. The interested motive is what? That I want to, if I do this, I am going to achieve the Divine Lord. I am not going to have any karma accrued to me. So I am going to perform nishkama karma. So there is a motivation to doing that. So that is what he is saying. The yogi, however, who diligently takes up the practice, attains perfection in this very life with the help of latencies of many births, and being thoroughly purged of sin, forthwith reaches the supreme state. Wow, this is very, very powerful. See, here he's saying multiple things. Let me explain to you in detail. What is he saying? The yogi, however, who diligently takes up practice. See, there are yogis. So today, if you are on the path of spirituality and you have evolved to a certain level, when you have the real master who's teaching you, under whose tutelage you are learning, okay? Now what you do, the yogi is one who has achieved the even-mindedness. However, what does he say? However, who diligently takes up the practice. So you can be a yogi because you have in the previous birth of yours, you have reached a certain destination. So in this life, you have the privilege of learning under the real master himself. Now, when you have such a guru with you, he is going to put you on the path. So then you have, what should you do? Who diligently takes up the practice. Now your job is to diligently practice. Your guru is there to guide, and he is giving you certain methods, or he's describing certain practices which you have to perform. So you're going to diligently do the practice. And what then happens if you do? Then you attain perfection in this very life with the help of latencies of many birth. So whatever that you have missed out in your earlier life, in the many births of yours, you are able to achieve all of that in this very life alone. And that is an opportunity we should not miss. This is where people fail. They think they want to enjoy the life even after having a guru, even when he's saying don't do certain things, don't get into that path, don't fall prey to all the sensual pleasures, don't get there. Even after that, we end up doing certain things which is not right. But if you are that real yogi who wants to achieve God realization in this very life, that is attaining that Satchidanand, the supreme blissful state. If you want to achieve that in this life itself, then you are going to follow that path very, very religiously. So what does he say? You will diligently take up the practice. You're going to be very, very serious about practicing, doing your sadhana, and then attains perfection. And then you will attain perfection in this very life, with the help of latencies of many birth, with the help of latencies of many births. In many births of yours, you have missed out on that, whatever you have to complete. But all that, you're able to finish it in this life. You're able to achieve it. And then what happens? And being thoroughly purged of sin. And being thoroughly purged of sin means what? Thoroughly purged of sin means your karmas are completely destroyed. And who has the authority to do so? It is only your guru who can destroy that is the agami, the futuristic, and your whatever you have accumulated. Both the sanchit and the agami karma completely gets destroyed. Only the prarabdha karma is what remains. And that is what you are going to fulfill. And that also, when you have a guru, he cushions it for you. You don't have to do anything. You just have to follow the path. You have to only keep striving to achieving this state. And then what happens? And being thoroughly purged of sin. So there is no karma accruing to you, no sins that you're committing. You're only walking the path of God realization alone. Forthwith reaches the supreme state. When you have overcome all of this, when you have done your sadhana, when you have been able to achieve that God realization, then what does happen? You reach that supreme state. What is that state all about? It's a blissful state. It is called Satchid Anand. Truth, knowledge and bliss. That is what you will be able to achieve. But you have to practice. Most important thing which Lord Shri Krishna is teaching here is all about sadhana practice. Today, this is a very difficult task to achieve. I'll tell you why. We have entered an age, it's a post-pandemic I can call, or I think we are also going through another wave. We call it the third wave, which is happening. People are become completely confused. Sometimes they don't know how to control their mind. They don't know what to do. They feel lost. They feel completely helpless. And when your mind is constantly doing this yo-yo, it is very difficult for us to practice this. If you have a guru right now and you have to walk the path, it is very, very difficult. But when you have faith in the Divine Lord, when you understand the truth that everything that happens in the material world is unreal, all that you have to do is believe that your ultimate goal is to achieve God realization. And then what should you do? Achieve God realization and serve the purpose of your existence. When you understand this truth, then you're not going to run after things. Then you're not going to feel miserable. Then you're going to achieve the serenity in your mind. Tranquility of mind is what you will be able to achieve. How do you achieve tranquility of mind? See, most important, when you understand the truth that how much more is more, or how much more is enough for me. Yesterday, my Guruji was teaching something very beautiful. I was telling him years back, many years ago, God has given certain qualities, and I didn't realize that this is why I was made like this. I would go out of the way and help people, okay? But I help them for their own personal gain. But in that, there was nothing in for me. I did not do it because I was gaining something. I just did it as a selfless action, not expecting something in return. And whenever I've asked any favors with others through my network, it has always been for someone else, but never for me. At that time, my Guruji said something very powerful. He said, you were useful, you were never useful for yourself, neither for the world. You were used by people for gaining something in their own personal life. It was benefiting them, but you are not doing any good to the world. See, there is a huge difference between when you serve the world selflessly. There is a very beautiful thing when you're doing some service. Service is being done to those who need it the most. Like you're helping, uplift a downtrodden or any other cause. There is a cause because of a cause for which you are doing something. It could be going to people who don't have, and you're providing for them. So it can be anything, right? You're donating to an organization which is helping, some children get educated, or whatever that action might be. So you're working for a cause. But back then, there was no cause. It was very individualistic, who wanted some things, who needed that help of mine so that they can gain something. It was benefiting somebody who already had enough. And it hit me really hard when my Guruji was telling me this. Yeah, you're right. I was not even helpful to myself, because that knowledge, that ability, that God-given ability, I have not even used to grow in my own world. So that was a shocker. And at that time, my Guruji said something very powerful. He said, your ability, your capability, your knowledge cannot be there only to fulfill somebody's selfish desires or their wants or their gains. But this knowledge, the God-given ability and capability, should be used towards doing something good in this world, to serving the purpose of serving the purpose of the Divine Lord, to serve the world selflessly. The world doesn't mean we are making some rich people, get richer. Serving the world means those who are in need, those who are suffering, those who need this knowledge, this whatever that you are going to offer to them is going to make a difference in their life, and they don't have that. Like Lord Jesus Christ has mentioned, give to those who can never ever repay back to you. That is the truth. That is the kind of service we need to do. And that time it really hit me hard. Yeah, you're right, that I have not done this to the people who really need that. And then last 12 and a half years, my Guruji has made me use the same talent first to empower myself. Today, as I embark on a very important mission in my life, which is to serve the purpose of the Divine Lord, I understand what it means to serve this world, how to be helpful to others. What does it mean? Service unto the Divine Lord means you have to do your duties following the path of Dharma, plus doing your Swadharma. Swadharma is serving the purpose of the Divine Lord, which is to serve this universe selflessly, whatever that path might be. That is something He will open up, and we have to only walk that path. So that was a very powerful lesson. So likewise, please remember, first you have to be helpful to yourself and then helpful to the world around, and not for benefiting somebody, for their personal desires. That's not what you have to be. Helpful those in need. What does those who are in need mean? Somebody wants a job, somebody doesn't have a job, somebody has a problem. Whatever it is, you can help in different capacities, right? There's so many different ways you can help other people. Maybe they're financially, they're financially in need. Can you contribute to them in whatever form you can? Some people might not have clothes. Can you donate some clothes? So there are different ways to do charity, and also your service. You can offer both. Whatever that you have, God given, you can, give it to this world. That is why it is said, wealth is to establish dharma. And that wealth, people don't understand why they have been given so much wealth. Not to fill in their own pockets, but to, distribute it in this world, those who don't have it. But that is not how human beings think, what they think, oh, I need to become more big, I need to become even more richer. This is not sufficient for me. So they become very greedy. And when this, there is this adharma that happens, the unrighteousness is in the rise. That is when the divine Lord manifests to establish that righteousness. That is called the dharma. And that is why he has to keep manifesting time and again. We human beings don't give up our desires. We don't become dispassionate in life. We want more and more and more and more. And how much more are you going to keep accumulating? Imagine you can only eat 3 square meal a day. You can only eat so much. You can't eat beyond that. You can only wear that many number of clothes. How much more do you want? And where are you going to wear? Where are you going to go and wear them? Today, given this pandemic, you must have realized one very important lesson which the universe has given us. And that lesson is, you just need that much alone, which is self-sufficient for you to live a sustainable living. What that does mean? I don't need to have 100 pairs of clothes to live my life. I just need maximum 20-30 pairs of clothes. That's all is required. I don't need 100 pairs of shoes. I just need 5 pairs of shoes. Maybe I might need one for running, one for my normal wear, whatever, the different things to suit different purpose. That is all I need. So the most important is you just need things, the basic essentials. You don't need, it should not be a want or a comfort or a luxury. So whenever you buy, ask yourself, is it this my need or my want, or is it my comfort or my luxury? What is that I am buying? So when you understand this, then you'll realize that you already have too much. You don't need more than that. So give to those who don't have. And please remember, at the end of the day, no matter what you earn, whatever you have, everything you're going to leave on this world, on this earth, you're not going to take it away. But why can't you also distribute to the world? The cause is very important. It's not just your children have to have the best. See, tomorrow they don't even know how to value that money. You know why? Because if you get it easy, they don't appreciate it. They have not earned it. They have not worked hard for it. It's coming to them on a platter. Then they don't know how to use that in a appropriate manner. So they start misusing that wealth, and that is why it doesn't have any value. But if you have to make your wealth meaningful and also earn some good merits for not just for yourself but for your family, then distribute that wealth. The wealth is to establish dharma. This is the truth behind that. And when you understand this truth, then you're not going to, feel that, oh, I need more. That desire and that passion is what you will be able to overcome or subdue it. Desires is something you will be able to overcome. Then you will understand that you have a beautiful cause. When you give to others, you bring happiness in their life, you will automatically feel so much loved within yourself. You will start living your life. You will love your life. But it is only to fulfill your own happiness, your own desires. That is going to be very short-lived. So when you expand your heart, when you open up your heart to the world, the universe also opens itself up for you. The more you give, the more she bestows upon you. This is the truth that we need to understand. So don't have a small, mean-hearted. Become a big-heartedness individual. And then you will see that God lives in everybody. Then you will experience God in everyone. You will experience that universal love, the universal truth of what it means to, see God in everybody. Why has God given you that wealth? Well, then what it means, the word wealth is to establish dharma. The real meaning is what you will understand. So open up your heart to this world. It is very, very important. Don't be a selfish person at all. So then, and being thoroughly purged of sin, forthwith reaches the supreme state. The yogi is superior to the ascetics. He is regarded superior even to those versed in sacred lore. The yogi is also superior to those who perform action with some interested motive. Therefore, Arjuna, do become a yogi. What is he saying? Yogi means what? Yogi is one who has achieved union with the divine Lord. So the yogi is superior to the ascetics. Who are the ascetics? One who has taken, one who has taken in for, one who is the sannyasis, one who has given up their material worldly life and have taken into asceticism. So what do? They just give up everything, they go sit somewhere, they're trying to meditate. But do you really think that these sannyasis do achieve union with the Divine Lord? Definitely not. So he's saying the yogi is superior to the ascetic as well. He is regarded superior even to those versed in sacred lore. Have you seen these Panditjis, all these Brahmins, who chant all the Vedas? They would have mugged the Vedas and they can rattle off. So he's saying they are also not somebody great, but the yogi, he is regarded superior even to those versed in sacred lore. Even to those versed in sacred, he is regarded greater than them. The yogi is also superior to those who perform action with some interested motive. See, people always have an hidden agenda. You need to know. There is always, they perform an action with some motivated. There is a reason. There's a motivation behind them doing anything. So such being, they are also very low in the cadre. So Lord Shri Krishna is saying a yogi is even higher than this being as well. Therefore, Arjuna, do become a yogi. He's telling Arjuna, you become a yogi. Don't ever give up. Don't become this ordinary person. Don't have any motivated action. See, from chapter 1 till now, all he has been imparting is how do you perform nishkama karma? How do you be a yogi? A yogi doesn't mean that he's an ascetic, he's a sannyasi, he's not going to do his job, he's not going to do anything. No, he is always in union with the Divine Lord. He has attained the yoga of achieving God realization, which is achieving the supreme state called Sachidanand. Sat, Chit and Anand. And after that, he's just performing. His body is just a tool. He's completely, samarpaned himself unto the lotus feet of the Divine Lord. So there is no identity of that I am doing, I am the greatest. Nothing exists. He's just devoted. He's only doing his part of that acting in that life, right? So as this human being, he has certain duties, and that is what he's doing. In fact, like Arjuna is a Kshatriya. So Kshatriya dharma is what he has to fulfill. Lord Shri Krishna says, there is a duty for you. Born of that Kshatriya dharma, you have to perform your duties. But how do you perform your duties? It is about doing selfless action, where you're not going to be bothered about the fruit of actions, neither you're going to take ownership to that action, nothing. You understand everything is just nothing but a play of this Maya alone. It's a play. It's a divine Leela. And you are just one character in that whole play. So just perform your role to the highest of your ability. Don't bother about what is going to be the end result. And why are you even thinking that somebody dies, you're going to be the cause of the action? You are neither the cause of the action, neither the fruit of the action. None is because of you. You're mere an instrument in the hands of the Divine Lord. So don't question, don't object, and don't have these doubts. Just do your swadharma, following the path of dharma, and you will become that yogi. You will have achieved God realization. That is the highest of your goal of having this human birth. Of all yogis, again, he who devoutly worships me with his mind focused on me is considered by me to be the best yogi. Oh my God, Lord Shri Krishna again has told something very, very profound. What is he saying here? Of all yogis, again, he who devoutly worships me. See, again, there are many yogis and there are different kinds of yogis, different levels of yogis. And he's saying of all the one. So he's actually telling Arjuna what kind of a yogi you have to become. But here he's giving a very beautiful secret as well. And that is, of all yogis, again, he who devoutly worships me. One who devoutly worships me means what? Very devoted to the Divine Lord. Worships me. So here is very clear. Me. It is not somebody else. No other God. Me. Lord Shri Krishna. When you worship him with his mind focused on me, with his mind only focused on Lord Shri Krishna, he is considered by me. So Lord says that yogi is considered by Lord Shri Krishna to be the best yogi. So what is the ultimate, kind of yogi that you have to become is the one who's completely devout, who devoutly worships Lord Shri Krishna with his mind fixed on him alone, that is, him is Lord Shri Krishna again, is considered by Lord Shri Krishna to be the best yogi. And this is the truth about, truth about how you can achieve that God realization. Yes, it, like again, Lord Shri Krishna in every chapter, in every verse says one very important thing. You have to strive to practice, you have to control your mind, you have to do your sadhana. It has to be continuous effort. You can't just do one day and not do it another day. No, all those things you have to continue to strive. So there is a method, there is a prescribed way. And that is why Bhagavad Gita is known as the way of life. How do you achieve God realization? By following a way of life. This human body is given so that our highest goal is to achieve God realization. And the second most important thing is to doing our swadharma, for why we have born as this human being. That is the ultimate truth. So when we understand this, and then just go on doing our duty without bothering about what is happening, in our world, why some things happen, some things don't happen. When you don't pay attention, when you don't bother about all that, and just have faith in the divine Lord and surrendering everything unto the lotus feet of him, you will achieve that supreme goal. That is what even Lord Shri Krishna says. In this he is ended with it. Of all yogis, again, he who devoutly worships me with his mind focused on me. He's directly saying, me alone, not any other god. Is considered by me, is considered by him, that is Lord Shri Krishna, to be the best yogi. So how do you become the best yogi? He has actually very beautifully explained all throughout this, throughout this chapter 6. So he's telling Arjuna, do become a yogi. Please do become a yogi. Don't be an ordinary human being. Okay. So with that, we complete this chapter. Thus in the Upanishad sung by the Lord, the science of Brahma, the scripture of yoga, the dialogue between Sri Krishna and Arjuna, ends the 6th chapter entitled The Yoga of Self-Control. I hope you learnt a lot from this. Do strive to practice. In the next satsang, we will begin chapter 7. Thank you for joining the Bhagavad Gita Satsang, the way of life as described by Lord Shri Krishna to Arjuna. Om Shri Mahaganapate Namaha. Om Shri Gurudev Datta. Om Shri Sachidananda Sadguru Sainath Maharaj Ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Digambara Digambara Shripad Vallabha Digambara. Om Shri Krishna Guru Nathanatha Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Devi Durgaya Namaha. Om Shri Krishna Arpanam Namastu. Krishnam Vande Jagat Guru.